Well, howdy, welcome back. This is Matthew Pizgatti coming to you from Dallas, Texas, talking about the animal farm, specifically the Piggy Bank. Did we get an update from Forex Shark, the developer? Where are our version 2 pigs? Has everything been credited? Let's just check in on the process and see where we are, shall we? First off, Pig's credit page now says crediting has been completed. This is great. This is an updated message. Sometimes this developer is a little slow to update the actual UI, the website. So I'm glad to see that we actually have messaging here now. So crediting has been completed. That means all the V1 pigs that could be have been turned in. Now we're waiting to get credited version 2. Pigs version 1 token is obsolete. Will not be usable after the Pigs V2 launch. So he's paused the crediting. We can see that that's no longer happening, and crediting has been completed. All of our farms and what have you are still paused because we're waiting on a launch date. So the latest updates from Forex Shark, the developer, I'll just go ahead and read those off because I do have a few in Telegram. And by the way, if you haven't, I do have a link in the description to my Telegram group, and I'm glad to link from there. If you join in and you ask for any extra resources, I'm glad to link to any of the other helpful Telegram groups that are available. There's people way smarter than me with a lot more updates. I'll make sure to link those out if you ask for them. But if you hop in my Telegram group. I am putting a lot of these updates there as well, so you don't have to watch these videos or keep an eye out every time for every little update. These smaller ones that I'm just forwarding from Forex, I always make sure to pin in my Telegram chat as well whenever I see those. So the latest update from Forex, one of the forwarded messages here is, and this is from Forex, this is his message. He says, I will be giving a major update today after I get out of meetings, both on migration and lottery. He says, we're being extremely diligent, but we are progressing. He goes on to say there's over 20,000 piggy bank accounts and hundreds of thousands of transactions that we do need to account for. So to do it properly is a pretty big deal, like a whole major project in itself. Everything is finished except for the last part that we're working on. I have a meeting with Chainlink today. They will be part of the lottery. And we made some adjustments and are in a better place than ever. So that's just Forex's update that this is a big project. He's trying to get all those piggy bank stakes allocated correctly, get the pigs credited, get the LP tokens credited. It's not just a single, flip of a switch, it sounds like. And as he said previously, he's trying to iron things out 100% before setting a launch date because that was kind of the rushed mistake on the animal farm, as he put it, or the piggy bank specifically. And then the second message from Forex Shark that I have here is he says we will be going live next week. I'll be giving a specific date later in the week. And he says he's preparing for a major YouTube interview the day before we go live. So, of course, here he's talking about pigs, the piggy bank. He's talking about version 2. So later on this week, he thinks he's going to have a date for us. He'll give us a date, and it's going to be next week when we go live. So if you've been waiting for something, an exact date, we don't have that yet. But that's the closest update we have so far, is that next week we should be going live on version 2. He's going to do a big interview, an AMA, the day before. That will create some new hype around the whole piggy bank animal farm site and protocol and project. And we're all looking forward to this going live because a lot of us want to get into piggy bank if we didn't, or just restart it and actually, because no one really got to get a full run through to see, is it profitable, is it sustainable, is it giving the rewards that we'd like to see in a protocol like this. So we're all, those of us who are bullish on the whole drip ecosystem, the animal farm ecosystem, are excited to get back in when we go live. And then for those of us who are not getting into animal farm or piggy bank side of things, or maybe you're just in the garden, drip faucet, those of us on that side are just waiting for this to get settled, and so we can get some money and marketing and projects and partnerships focusing back towards the drip side. Even though this is all kind of one ecosystem and it somewhat works together, back and forth. Hopefully more utility is going to be created to connect the two. And as Forex has promised, he's going to get back to more AMAs and partnerships related to DRIP specifically, and less so on the animal farm. So we all hope to see that, no matter what side of the fence we're on, so that DRIP will come back up in price, because it's been a little dipped. Pretty, actually, relatively horizontal movement today, but it's still going downward, it's still falling downward, as we've seen. So a lot of exciting news there. Hopefully this Piggy Bank version 2 launch gets done next week. Remember that the first 48 hours of that, there's going to be, I think he said, a 15% bonus to anyone adding new capital. So not the stakes you're being credited for that you already had in the Piggy Bank, but any new capital you add within 48 hours of the new launch next week. You're going to get a 15% bonus on top of this time lock bonus, and on top of that normal percentage return. So that's a pretty big opportunity. If you do want to add some capital, if you're thinking about that, you might think about that, and think about that being next week. Basically it's a launch. It's a launch like any new protocol launches. Forget about version 1. If you've already put your credits in, that's all handled. But this is essentially a new launch of something new that we didn't really get to see take off last time. So if you are still interested in the Piggy Bank, next week is when you'd want to have some funds free, if that's an option for you and you decide to invest. As always, remember, this is not financial advice for you. I can't control, nor would I want to, what you're going to do with your funds, and I'm not going to directly advise you as to what to do regarding that. For myself, I am going to throw a little over there. Like I mentioned, Seifu has been doing pretty well for me. I got a little bit of a gain on what I'd put in. I'm hoping that continues. I'm kind of taking a gamble on that, but hopefully that keeps counting upward at least until next week when the launch is. If I don't get wrecked by a hard downward swing in Seifu next week, then regardless, I'm probably taking my Seifu out just because I'm more excited about the Piggy Bank. DRIP and this whole ecosystem is what got me into all the DGen, crypto, DeFi stuff most recently, this last month or so. So I'm probably going to pull out of the Seifu, even though Seifu's been showing a cool return. I've been actually kind of enjoying the return I'm seeing. It's ticking steadily upward, and those price swings are pretty good. But it is another longer term solution. I didn't realize that. There's a pretty big fee on the trading. So I'm not going to sit here and day trade back and forth on Seifu, which I guess they're trying to prevent by having some of those fees. But regardless, I'm a little more excited for Piggy Bank. So next week when that goes live, I'll probably pull what I have here out of Seifu, and then throw it into the Piggy Bank just to get a couple piglets if I can. If I don't have enough for that, I think Forex was saying that part of this version 2 launch, if he sticks to this, because this is what he was saying previously, was that we'd have partial compounding, where we don't have to have a whole piglet's worth of truffles to compound. I believe that's what he was getting at when he mentioned the fractional compounding. Now, if that's the case, I probably at least have to have at least one piglet. So that's what I'm assuming, because you have to have at least one for it to find truffles, unless they're doing fractional piglets as well, which is still kind of silly to me that they'd be producing a fraction. He said this was so similar to the garden, and that's not how the garden works. The garden, you have to have a whole... Oh, I'm ready to compound here. Go ahead and compound that. You have to have a whole plant to be producing seeds. You can't buy like a partial plant. So we'll see how he implements that in the Piggy Bank, if it's actually going to be partial piglets, or if you have to have at least one piglet to get started. So still waiting to hear more news on that. But that's our latest update from Forex. That's where all this is going at the moment. We look forward to that announcement later this week as far as an actual date. And then next week we'll have that AMA to look forward to, see what Forex has been working on, what partnerships are coming down the pipeline that we can kind of promote and get some more bullish action on the whole ecosystem, and maybe swing this price around going into the next couple months. So we're all excited to see what happens there, if we're bullish on DRIP especially, or if you've just been kind of keeping an eye on it from the sidelines. Once again, not financial advice, and I will see you guys on the next video. Feel free to comment with any questions, concerns, etc. Jump in the Telegram chat if you'd like more resources or just want to have a longer conversation there. That's easier than YouTube, 100%. Yeah, and if you do have negative comments regarding DRIP or any of the ecosystem, the thing I have to ask is to come at the comments or come at the Telegram or wherever you end up reaching me and others, come at it with some evidence, come at it with some numbers. I mean, if you are a mathematician or more efficient at math than I am, which doesn't surprise me, show me those numbers, explain how you're getting them, explain why you think XYZ on sustainability, etc., because you may be onto something, but if you just say, oh, look at this price decline, obviously it's going to zero and it's being wrecked, like that doesn't show any understanding of the protocol or researching it prior to making comments like that. It's just something you may have bought in too high and now it's dropping and you're worried about that, you're anxious. But you have to come at it with some type of logic, some type of reasoning, rather than just I'm scared because the price is going down. That's not really an argument, and it doesn't do your case any good. And if you do care about advising other people with maybe you're trying to quote unquote save them from this horrible protocol, that's a noble goal. But to actually have that goal, you have to come at it with more than just negativity, because any intelligent person who's not just following hype up and down needs to actually understand what you're saying. So if you understand it well, that whole saying about like if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, then you don't understand it well enough to be explaining it. That's how I see a lot of these things. I mean, a lot of times I'm up here and I'm completely honest in saying that some of these things are a gamble. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what's going to happen. I'm telling you my predictions and why I have that sentiment. But I'm not usually up here with the facts and the figures and telling you mathematically why I think it's sustainable. I leave that to a lot of other people. So if you have that type of information, I welcome it. I'd love to understand it, but you have to break it down. Maybe you should make a video and link that and put that in all of your negative comments. But if you don't have that level of expertise or at least some type of backup as to what you're saying, I would just leave those comments at home. Like they're not helpful, and they don't make anyone look up to you as as an authority source if you don't actually have anything to back up what you're saying. And you'll see this on some of these main sites like what's the main one that normally comes up? I have to search for it to double check. Yeah, this Coin Market Cap. And I'm aware my screen's probably a little delayed. I noticed that on the last video. So you'll probably see this load in a second if you haven't. But yeah, you see this a lot on this type of website. We're like, oh, it's gonna go to zero. Look at this, just straight down line on the chart. Like, they're not taking any of those other variables into consideration. They're not looking at the full chart from where it started, where it's gone. They know nothing probably about the protocol or how the wallets max out. So you just see a lot of these what they call FUD. Just spreading fear, uncertainty, doubt for no reason, without any type of backup. So I think those are really silly. If you have actual evidence or contributions, I think everyone would love to hear that. Maybe not in the Animal Farm or DRIP official chats, because we all know how they are about banning people who they think are too far on the negative side. But in my chat, we can talk about that. Kelly Snook has the DRIP rocket science telegram I've talked about because I love her work and her thought process. She has a separate telegram group just dedicated to DRIP sustainability, and that's what they're trying to figure out is it sustainable? How long is it going to be sustainable for? But the level of knowledge that group has and the scientific approach they take to this and mathematical approach, I think if there were any glaring red flags like, oh my God, we're all going to lose our money and explode tomorrow, they would already be covering those, or at least starting to hint at that. And I'm not seeing any of those type of flags. So that's all I'm saying is, if you're gonna come correct and come with some type of backing and jump into the telegrams, jump into even the YouTube comments, but make sure that you can actually explain your position and not just be negative for the sake of being negative and creating personal attacks. That's all I have to say about that. But that's enough of that long rant against the FUD. Not married to any of these projects. Well, understandably, they're all gambles. They're all up in the air. It's wild, wild west out here in the crypto space. But you got to have reasoning behind your thoughts. Don't just throw sentiment out there, especially negative, for no reason. All right, you guys, well, I will see you on the next video, and I hope this has been a good update and helpful. If you're seeing me for the first time and you found any of this helpful, the content, definitely like and subscribe, and leave me a comment. Let me know. Thanks, guys. You have a great one.